Yo guys, it's Pharaoh Saga. Live your own transcranial saga. So first of all, let's get straight to it, man. Stop attaching yourself into things that are stopping you from manifesting. My main key from this is that attaching is something that can automatically drag us down and put us in a misalignment from what we actually want to achieve, right? You already have what you want. You already know who you are. You already know what you want. But it's one thing that is making you want another thing. It is one thing that is making you go this way. It's another thing that is making you think other ways, right? And it doesn't make sense. That's why a lot of people tend to lead into a result of confusion. That's why a lot of people tend to lead themselves into worrying about the future, thinking about your future, which is overthinking, and it's just creating these false images, false drawings, false paintings that it doesn't lead to nowhere but other than a mess, right? And that's how I like to think about it. Misalignments is just a big mess of you not paying attention to who you are. And that's exactly why I want to talk about this, because attaching, bro. Once we attach into a certain concept and it doesn't align with who you want to be, right? The desired dream job, whatever it is, right? It's basically like a drug. It's basically like an addiction, right? It's like an addiction. The only reason why we're attaching to it or became something connected with it is either because we grew with it or because it made us feel good. It made us feel excited, happy, satisfied, a good experience. And whatever it is, whatever it costs, it doesn't matter. If that attachment, whatever life concept you're attached into, it doesn't service you in any way, why is it that we're putting our own energy into it? And it clearly doesn't make sense at all, right? If I was to tell you, hey, you should stop being attached into thinking that if you work harder, you will get richer, right? But 100%, your dream job is just to work at your home, right? Being your own businessman, just have other people work for you, right? So you see how that attachment into that belief doesn't make sense at all? It doesn't service you at all, right? And that is just a simple example. That example can align with anything else, but you see what I'm going? So we certainly have attachments into things that we've heard from other people. We grew up with other people or other people that we have trusted in our future. And that's exactly what I wanted to get into, our mind focus, right? Mind focus equals manifestation. Once you start focusing, it's basically you knowing self-consciously on who you are. You're just reminding yourself. You're just like a natural state of mind. A lot of people don't do that, right? A lot of people tend to say they focus on the work, they focus on the discipline, but that is simply just having a personality. That is just a characteristic, right? You need to be 100% assertive, 100% confident on the things that you are focused on, and take out every useless belief. One of the major keys that is useless is that we grew up with a lot of beliefs that do not align with who we're trying to be, and it just attaches into false images that doesn't service us back, right? Let's say, for example, one of your beliefs is that if you grow up in a ghetto, right? People that grow up in a ghetto, they usually have a belief where, damn man, I don't know, we can never get a house like this. We can never get wealthy. We can never get a good job, bro. Because we grew up in a ghetto, bro. We never had an opportunity. They have opportunities. Look at them. They grew up with a foundation. That is just a theory. That is just a belief. That is not even true, right? I believe that there's no truth, there's no false in our world, but if you believe that's true, that will be your own reality. So that is the number one focus, belief that wouldn't even service you. So one of the important keys here is for you to understand yourself more. Ask yourself, why is it that I believe on this certain belief, and it just makes me think otherwise from a desired position, from a desired self. In order for me to keep moving forward, I feel like I'm not really moving forward because my belief is that blah, I'm not gonna go through it, blah blah. Have failure because I grew up in this city, I grew up in this environment, or because my parents are immigrants. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really make sense. So that is exactly why, number one, ask yourself, why is it that I believe this? Why is it that I haven't noticed that other people who grew up in the same environment as me are already in a better position than I am, right? Why is it that I have this belief, right? And also, number two, stay ignorant. Let's try to stay ignorant about everything in life, because life will try to throw you a lot of stuff, and the versions that we adjust into ourselves, it is something that we have developed ourselves subconsciously growing up in our childhood, right? Let's say, for example, I love using this example, right? Living on in the ghetto, right? One of the major things is that we have money problems most of the time, right? We have family problems, we have a lot of things that will try to come in our way. And number three thing about manifestation is that, like I said, manifestation is something that you internally feel as if it was happening right now. As if, let's say, for example, your position job was already something that you already qualify for. Live it as if you were doing it right now, excuse me. And so if you think otherwise, right, one of the major things that the world will try to bring you back into the old beliefs that, hey man, it's not gonna exist. Hey man, that shit is not gonna work out. Well, that's one of the major things why you need to stay ignorant of yourself, so you can remind yourself on who you are over and over. So stay ignorant, bro. Stay ignorant. Another thing, remind yourself, right? Once you are ignorant, once you start ignoring everything in the outside, and internally you just, nothing can break you, bro. Your belief is just strong as it is. You just remind yourself of who you are. You're putting yourself in a better position. You're putting yourself in a better emotional state, and nothing can break you down because your beliefs are servicing you in your own way, right? And the more you do, the less you are, right? The more you do, the less you are. So the more you keep doing it, the less you are leveraging away from your old version, right? The more you keep doing it, the more natural it gets. And that is exactly the whole point. The whole point is for you to start having this natural state of living. It is not something that you should carry out every day. A lot of people tend to think, damn, I have to wake up in the morning. I don't have to sleep till 6 a.m. I don't have to do this. I don't have to go party. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do, bro. That is just bullshit, bro. Well, it's not bullshit, because I respect it, but you don't have to do anything like that, bro. You don't have to do anything like that. Obviously, that will make you healthier, that will make you more efficient, more productive, but you don't need to do all that, bro. You don't need to, right? So like I said, the more you are, no, the more you do, the less you are. So staying ignorant, remind yourself who you are, and actually rewiring yourself. Instead of focusing on every single belief that is not servicing you, you just start focusing on reinvesting those beliefs and start shifting them in an elevated perspective. And that's how you basically make the shift, right? So beliefs that did not service you, get them away. Like I said, the beliefs that do not service you, get them away. If you believe something and it doesn't service you, your desired self, do not believe in it at all, bro. Just detach yourself from that. And a lot of people attach themselves into certain beliefs because they either, you probably heard your mom, you probably heard your dad, your big brother, your friend environment, right? Your teacher, and that's their beliefs, that's not your belief, right? I think about it like that, right? Emotional charges. Attaching into something causes emotional charges. Once you are attached into certain something, no matter what, if it goes downhill, your emotions will go downhill as well. If it goes upwards, your emotions will go upwards as well. So it's not something that you can consciously control because you're becoming dependent towards a concept, right? Something from the external. You cannot control the external, bro. We are not that powerful, right? But what I mean is that what we can control is something right here. So once you start detaching from the things that you cannot control from your emotion charges, you start learning how to flow through life in a better emotional state. So another thing that a lot of people tend to do when they're attached into something is that you start thinking into the future, bro. Once you are attached to something, you kind of have this low leverage of confidence, right? Because you realize that you're giving too much into life. When you attach into something from the outside, not from the internally, but something from the outside, you kind of realize like, damn, I'm losing control, right? I'm realizing that a lot of things from the outside are affecting my emotions, and I seem to be out of control. I don't seem to be in my own state of mind. I seem more controllative in what's happening in the outside instead of the inside. So that's exactly why I think that it's make you start thinking from the future, because now everything that you do, right, you're kind of just doing it in a low perspective and in a low leverage confidence, and your belief system is just falling down from its own pathway, which is why I think you start overthinking, confused, and it doesn't make sense no more, right? Weakens your present image also. When I mean by why you need to stop attaching to the future or to the manifestation is because it weakens your present image. And you need to realize, bro, that your present image is the most important thing, because the more you see it the more you seem like it right now, the less work you have to do, bro. And it's an attraction. It's like the law of attraction. That's how simply it works, because manifestation is something that you internally feel inside. And once you put yourself in that position without you having to be being dependent on the life, being dependent on materialistic stuff in order for it to start coming, you will realize, man, how powerful your mind is, bro. How powerful your really mind is. An elevated instant. You start elevating in an instant, and you start worrying about other stuff that doesn't comply to you, right? Once you realize that you learn how to detach yourself from certain situations, that's how powerful your mind is, and that's how you can start controlling your own reality, because now it's not the world trying to control your emotions. It's now you realizing who you are, knowing how to feel more secured, and basically protecting yourself in a better mutual energy, right? The whole purpose of this video is for us to start reminding ourselves of who we are, is start learning mind tools, right? I like to call it mind tools, because at the end of the day, it's something that we can truly control and truly learn how to do it. And the more we get used to it, the more we tend to get a feel more about ourselves, right? We tend to connect with ourselves more, be with ourselves more, and be much more self-oriented, right? A lot of people are not self-oriented. They rely on the world to do the things for them, and that's why sometimes they become greedy, because they never give them to themselves. First of all, they never become internally within, and they become more externally, right? And a lot of people like that are not usually that they usually struggle with maintaining a certain discipline with frequency, and life comes at them in many ways, right? When they're trying to manifest, they blame it on God. When they're trying to manifest, they blame their life. When they try to manifest, they blame themselves, and it keeps putting on a bad hole, right? But yeah, and I leave it up to that. That's the whole video. Stop attaching yourself into things that are stopping you from manifestation, and that is the whole key. Y'all go subscribe, y'all go, and y'all drop a comment if there's anything that y'all want to share. Let me know. So, peace.